Chapter 1. Tree Hopping. Johan sat in an uncomfortable tiptoe crouch, thinking about how to fail less dramatically this time. The backs of his thighs smashed against the muscles of his calves as he perched like a bird on an especially small branch of the great song willow tree. Only about 10 paces out, it narrowed even more to only about the width of his foot. That's where it got soft and a little scary. It was the only place he could get that much tension. It should easily give him enough boost to make the jump across the space between the trees. At least, it looked like that. Elin had already made the jump. She made the jump every time. The problem was, Johan had tried this jump before. He missed every time. He already almost lost sight of Elin. She wouldn't wait for him. Johan could handle himself, even if he missed the jump. He didn't need her to baby him. Still, he knew that she was secretly listening and watching for him, just in case. She didn't want him to know, and he didn't really want to know. What he wanted to know was whether he could do this by himself. No matter what, this time he would. He timed everything perfectly. He started on his left foot. He'd practiced matching Elin's step length. It nearly matched his own anyway, but that extra tiny space might make all the difference. She was just a little taller than him, so today he ran just exactly like her. He counted off the paces. The right foot landed exactly where he planned, and the branch gave just a little underneath of him. Instinct wanted him to push with both legs. It only made sense that 2 legs would give more strength than that of just one, but he needed the momentum. He couldn't stop right now. The left leg swung through as he pushed off the right. Everything was perfect, just like Elin's jump. The jump went exactly as it should, but Johan missed, just exactly as he did every other time. The wind rushed up at his face as he picked up speed and downward momentum. Somewhere in the panic of the missed landing, Johan found his calm. He couldn't do this when he jumped. Only when he fell could he calculate the options. When he was reaching for the sky, he couldn't afford to focus on how to save a deadly fall. Now, he had nothing to lose. He wouldn't die from the fall. At least, he hadn't any other time. As his fingertips slipped past the branch that he was supposed to grab a hold of, Johan felt his stomach rise into his throat and strangle it. It didn't quite feel the same as the fear he felt the first time, the second time, or even the last few times before this. The logical part of his brain took over and raced through every possible alternative. He'd done this enough times. If he just let himself go, he would land on his stomach on the next branch down. He cringed at the thought, and yet that would hurt less than the next option he had tried. For this, he could roll himself forward and flip as he fell. With a little more effort, he could reach the next branch down and over. By the time he had fallen that far, the speed would hurt his landing. He'd land on his feet, but he would hit much harder. He might not be able to run for a few days. And the last alternative was not even an option. If he missed both branches below, he would fall until he landed on the forest floor. Snow didn't make it through to the forest floor, so there would be nothing to cushion his fall. Johan tightened himself for the least worst fall, a body slam on the next branch down. His weight hit solid wood that wouldn't give. Johan's stomach churned as his body sank, and then his abdomen nearly squished all of his insides up to his neck. He started to slide off, but had enough sense to grab hold and hang tight. He gripped the branch that hurt him so badly, but kept him from falling to more injury. He slowly pulled himself up and rolled over onto his back. Johan had a dirty shade of light brown hair that almost blended with the bark of the trees. He kept it mostly trimmed just above his pointy ears. He said it made his sense of hearing keener. Most of the other boys wore their hair much longer past their ears. Johan never was one for keeping up with style. His eyes were an off shade of brown that just didn't quite match his hair. They accented his face, which had a little baby fat left, though he had slimmed down a little there this past year. His long legs and long arms matched the tall, slender body that most of his kind had. He had long fingers that were usually perfect for grabbing a hold of branches as he flew through the air past them. Elin always made the jump. She always made every jump she ever tried. She wasn't much taller than Johan, and definitely not any stronger. She might have weighed just a little bit less, but Johan didn't think that made the difference. She did have perfect timing. She knew just exactly where to step and how much spring to boost herself into a jump. The two of them had been running and jumping like this for a long time. Elin couldn't seem to miss, even though she only just barely made it. Every time he saw her float across the expanse, he felt the fear that he knew she must have. She'd come so close to missing. Every time, she failed to fall. Maybe she didn't even have fear. Johan told himself that it was just that she had been doing this longer than him, though he knew she hadn't. They'd started this together. She just got better faster. He tried to recreate every step she took. 10 paces out, then a jump just after the branch forked. She started on her left foot and ended with her right. Her strong foot made the leap. Johan tried it that way. At least he thought he had. He tried it every way. He tried this jump so many times, he felt certain he had tried every possible combination of movements. Every time, he swore to himself he would never return. Elin always brought him back. So far as he knew, he and Elin were the only ones that did this kind of thing. There were plenty of others their age in the nearby villages, and even in their own. They all stayed fit, working for food and shelter. Most every one of their kind had the build suited for tree hopping. No one else seemed to show an interest in trying, let alone enjoying, the sport that Elin must have invented. She called it tree hopping, just for lack of a better name. Most everyone could and would jump from branch to branch just to get around their treetop village. Only Elin and Johan would do it for fun and to the extreme. No one else they knew would even try to jump to an entirely different tree. They had tree bridges for that. Anything else was just too risky. The branch he lay on was just a narrow one, only about the width of his own body. Most of the trees had branches as wide as the height of 2 fully grown adults end to end. They built houses and shops on those branches. This was just a young tree. That's what made it so perfect for tree hopping. It wasn't big enough to be fully inhabited yet. Every branch was open for them to sprint and leap across. Elin dropped down and knelt beside Johan. She checked to make sure he was still breathing, then sat down on the branch next to him. She let out a sigh and stared off in the distance. "I thought you'd make it this time. I'm pretty proud of you for trying," she said. "I feel pretty stupid for trying again," Johan managed to say before he started coughing. Even coughing hurt. He looked over at Elin. She smiled back as if to say that she didn't know what to say. Elin was a tall girl for their kind. She must have been a little older than Johan. No one kept track of age very well, but that would explain the height difference. Johan had started to doubt whether he would ever catch up. Every time he grew, she grew a little bit more. She had a slender body, though every one of their kind did. Somehow, those tiny muscles she had some extreme power. Her long fingers could grab a branch even as thick as her head. She seemed to just stick her hand to the tree in mid-air and swing herself enough to flip around to the other side. As Johan constantly reminded himself, she could jump from one leg better than he could from both. Elin had long hair, a little lighter in color. It floated on the wind when she jumped, just like the rest of her seemed to. Her eyes matched the traditional green foliage colors that everyone was expected to wear outside of the village for camouflage. The fabric came from the leaves of the same amazing tree that seemed to provide them with everything they needed. Elin wore a pair of ankle-length, snug-fitting green pants with a looser-fitting top of a lighter shade tucked into her pants. Johan wore a nearly identical outfit, only with looser-fitting pants. Even in the cold weather, it would keep them warm, and it was always cold. "We should probably go see Grandmother," Elin said. "I'm not going anywhere just yet," Johan groaned. He probably could have right now, but he didn't want to. He'd been to see Elin's grandmother 3 times in the past few days. She tended to his wounds, but he wondered how long she would keep quiet about their obvious adventures. "Don't worry, she won't tell anyone," Elin said. "She thinks it's fun. She might be the only one in the village who even knows what fun is." Elin smiled, hoping to get a laugh out of Johan. He tried, but then started coughing. The coughing made him grab his stomach and groan. Elin shook her head and stood up. Even in the cold, she went barefoot. "You really should wear shoes. You're going to hurt your feet." Johan referred to his own light fabric foot coverings. They all wore light slippers made from the same material their bedding and clothing came from. The branches were all covered in leaves that hung down and shaded them from the wind and the rain. A single leaf could cover an entire home and protect it with the strength of solid wood. Yet when they were picked and treated at the right time, they softened to feel like the clouds. I like to feel where I'm jumping and where I land. She held out her hand and Johan took it, pulling himself to his feet. She made sure he could stand on his own before she let go. Do you think you can run? No. He barely let her finish her question. The pain hurt too much to walk right now, but he did. I suppose you want me to slow down and walk with you? Elin asked, pretending to be annoyed. Johan knew she wanted to take care of him right now. She felt a little guilty, since he was only trying to keep up with her. She usually turned quite motherly after he hurt himself. I would rather you carry me, but if that's not an option, I guess you could at least walk with me. Only if you want to. Well, only because I think you need me. You probably couldn't even find your way back by yourself, she joked as they started on the long trek back to their village. It only took a few minutes to get out here running and jumping from the trees, but walking and climbing would take much longer.